I am Jessica. I am 27 years old and I work as a cashier in a busy shopping mall. Every day I stand behind the counter for hours, smiling at strangers, taking their money, and giving back change. My feet hurt by the time my shift ends. The noise and lights never stop. When I finally leave, all I want is to get back to my small apartment on the third floor of an old building and be alone. I like the quiet. I live by myself. No one waits for me at home. That evening I walked up the stairs like always. The hallway lights were dim and yellow. I reached my door and put the key in the lock. The door felt wrong. The key turned too easily, as if someone had opened it before me and left the lock loose. I pushed the door open and stepped inside. A strange smell hit me right away. It was not my smell. It was heavier, like a man's sweat mixed with old cologne. My stomach turned. I closed the door quickly and locked it. My heart started beating harder. I stood still in the living room. Nothing looked moved. The couch was in the same place. My morning cup was still on the table. I walked to the kitchen. The fridge made its usual low hum. I checked the windows. They were shut. But the smell stayed with me. It grew stronger when I got near the bedroom door. I did not turn on the light yet. I told myself it was nothing. Maybe the smell came from the neighbor cooking. Maybe I was just tired from work. Women who live alone sometimes feel scared for no reason. I tried to believe that. Then someone knocked on the door. I jumped. I walked slowly and looked through the peephole. It was the man from next door. I had seen him many times in the hallway. He was in his 30s, average height, quiet most days. I opened the door a little. "Hi, Jessica," he said. His voice was calm. "I saw you come home. You look tired. Come out for dinner with me. I made a special pancake just for you." I shook my head. "Thank you, but I already ate at the mall." He did not move. His eyes stayed fixed on my face. They looked wider than normal. His smile did not change. "Please. I made it especially for you. It is special. You will like it. It will feel good to eat something warm after your long day." Something felt off. He had never spoken to me like this before. His words were polite, but his eyes watched me too closely. They did not blink much. I did not want to argue in the hallway where other neighbors could hear. I thought if I went for a short time, he would stop asking. I could come back soon and lock myself inside. "Okay," I said. "Just for a little while." I stepped out and pulled the door shut behind me. Before I could take out my key, he reached forward and took the key from my hand. He turned it in the lock. The door clicked shut. I stared at him. "Why are you locking the door?" He turned to face me. His smile stayed the same, but his voice dropped lower. "When I entered your bedroom earlier, I saw somebody lying under your bed. Maybe he had some other intentions after you sleep." The words went through me like ice. My skin felt tight all over. The hallway seemed to tilt for a second. How did he enter my bedroom? I had only just come home. I had not let him inside. The strange smell, the loose lock, the feeling that someone had been there, everything rushed together in my head. He had walked through my rooms. He had gone into the place where I sleep. The bedroom is where I am most alone, most safe. Now he spoke about it like it was nothing. I took one step back until my back touched the wall. "What do you mean?" My voice came out small. He kept the same calm look. "Do not worry. I locked the doors so the person could not come out. I wanted to keep you safe. Now let us go and eat the pancake I made for you." I knew the words were wrong. No normal neighbor would enter my apartment. No normal person would see someone under the bed and then lock the door without telling me right away. My mind is filled with dark pictures. A man hiding under my bed in the dark. Waiting for me to lie down. Waiting for me to fall asleep. Waiting for the moment when I would be helpless. I thought about what other intentions could mean. I am a woman living alone. I know what some men do when they want revenge or control. The fear felt heavy and real in my chest. I pulled my phone from my pocket. My hands shook a little. "I am calling the police," I said. His smile faded. "There is no need. I am only trying to help." I dialed the number anyway. I spoke fast to the person on the line. I gave them my address and told them what the neighbor had said. I told them he had locked my door and that he had been inside my apartment. He stood there watching me. He did not run. He looked annoyed, as if I had ruined something simple. The police came after 15 minutes. 2 officers walked up the stairs. They asked questions. I told them everything again. The neighbor gave short answers. He said he was only being a good neighbor. The officers looked at the locked door. They looked at the key in his hand. They asked him how he got the key. He had no good answer. They put handcuffs on him and took him away. I watched from the hallway as they led him down the stairs. My legs felt weak. Later that night, after the police searched my apartment, 1 officer sat with me in the living room. The strange smell was still there, faint now. They had found small signs. The bedroom window had been forced open a little. A few things in my drawers were not exactly where I left them. The officer told me the truth they had learned. The neighbor had been stalking me for 2 months. He followed me from the mall to my building almost every day. He kept photos of me on his phone. He wrote down the times I left for work and came home. One afternoon at the mall, he walked up to my counter. He asked me to go out with him. I said no. He kept asking. I raised my voice so the customers around us could hear. I told him to leave me alone. People stared. He walked away angry. That public rejection stayed with him. He decided to make me pay. He broke into my apartment that day while I was at work. He waited there. The plan was simple and cruel. He would stay hidden until I came home, went to bed, and fell asleep. Then he would come out. The story about somebody under the bed was a lie he told when things didn't go as planned. He wanted to get me out of the apartment, so he could take me somewhere else. The special pancake was probably meant to make me trust him, or to make me feel weak. He wanted revenge for the way I had embarrassed him in public. I sat on my couch after the officer left. The apartment felt smaller than before. Every shadow looked longer. I thought about all the nights I had slept here without knowing someone was watching my life so closely. I thought about how easy it was for one man to decide I owed him something. I changed the locks the next morning. I bought a stronger chain for the door. I started checking under the bed every night before I turned off the light. The fear did not leave quickly. I still went to work. I still smiled at customers, but now I look over my shoulder more often. I kept my phone in my hand when I walked home. The horror was not loud or sudden. It was quiet and real. It was the knowledge that my safe place had been touched by someone who wanted to hurt me. It was the memory of a man's voice saying he had been in my bedroom. It was the understanding that some people carry anger for months and wait for the right moment to use it. I never saw the neighbor again. The police said the case was strong. But I know the feeling of being watched will stay with me for a long time. I am careful now. I am alive. That is enough. I am Sharon. I am 27 years old and I work as a waitress in a small restaurant downtown. The shifts are long and the pay is nothing special, but I like the busy nights when the tables fill up and the kitchen moves fast. Most days I come home tired, take a quick shower, and fall asleep in my quiet apartment on the second floor of an old building. I live alone. No pets, no visitors. The place feels safe enough. One afternoon I started feeling sick at work. My head pounded and my stomach turned over. I told my manager I needed to leave early. I walked home slowly, unlocked my door, and went straight to bed. By 10 o'clock that night the sickness had passed. I felt hungry and clear-headed again. I picked up my phone and ordered a macaroni pizza from the app. It was simple food, nothing fancy. The app said the delivery would arrive in about 30 minutes. I set the phone down and waited. 20 minutes later the app showed a message. The delivery boy had reached my location. The map placed a little dot right at my building. I knew it took only 2 minutes to walk from the street to my door. I stood up and waited. A minute passed. Then another. I heard a light tap on the door. There was a working doorbell right beside it, but the person had chosen to tap instead. I walked over and opened the door. The hallway was empty. No one stood there. No pizza box. No delivery bag. The lights overhead were the same dim yellow they always were. I stepped halfway out, looked left and right, and saw nothing. I closed the door and locked it. Maybe the boy had gone to the wrong floor. Maybe he was still coming up the stairs. I sat down again. A short time later the tap came again. I went back to the door and opened it. The hallway was still empty. No footsteps. No one walked away. I felt a cold line run down my back. Something was not right. I closed the door, turned the lock, and opened the app. I canceled the order. I did not want food anymore. I did not want anyone near my door. I turned off the lights in the living room and went into my bedroom. I left the chain on the door and tried to sleep. The clock showed 4 in the morning when the knock returned. It was not loud, but it was steady. I sat up in bed. My heart beat hard. I stayed under the blanket for a moment, listening. The knock came once more. I got out of bed, walked to the living room, and stood a few feet from the door. "Go away," I called out. "Or I will call the police right now." The knocking stopped. The silence that followed felt heavier than before. I stayed there for 10 minutes, phone in my hand, ready to dial. Nothing happened. I went back to bed but did not sleep well. Every small noise in the building made my eyes open. Morning came. Sunlight reached through the thin curtains. I got up, made coffee, and checked the delivery app out of habit. The screen still showed the delivery boy's location. The dot sat exactly at my building. I thought maybe the app had not updated after I canceled. I closed the app and opened it again. The dot had not moved. I put the phone down and got ready for work. I told myself it was a glitch. Technology made mistakes sometimes. At the restaurant I worked my normal shift. Between tables I checked the phone again. The location had not changed. It still showed the delivery boy right at my apartment building. I felt uneasy but tried to ignore it. Customers needed their orders. I kept moving. By the middle of the afternoon the dot was still in the same place. I could not pretend anymore. I stepped into the small staff room and called the police. 2 officers came to my apartment later that evening. They listened while I told them everything. The early arrival of the app. The taps on the door. The empty hallway. The location that never moved. The officers looked around. There was no camera inside my apartment. The building had no working cameras in the hallway either. They checked the app on my phone. The dot was still there, exactly where it had been all day. They took notes and said they would look into the delivery company. The next morning the police called me. The news they gave me did not make sense at first. The name and ID used by the delivery boy belonged to a man who had died 3 years earlier. The real man had been killed in a car accident far from the city. Someone had taken his identity and used it to work for the delivery service. The police had gone to the address listed for that delivery boy. It was my apartment building. The man had been living there, hidden, for months. He had been staying in my apartment while I was at work. He had keys. He knew my schedule. I stood in the restaurant kitchen holding the phone. My legs felt weak. The police said they were still searching for the man, but he had disappeared after that night. No one had seen him leave the building. The location on the app had stayed fixed until the battery in his phone finally died. They could not explain how he had been inside my apartment without me knowing. They could not explain why he tapped instead of ringing the bell. They could not explain why he waited until 4 in the morning to knock again. They could not explain why the dead man's identity had been used so carefully for so long. I went home that evening and packed my things. I did not sleep there again. The next day I moved to a new apartment on the other side of the city. I changed my phone number. I changed my delivery apps. I told no one the new address except the police. I tried to go back to normal life at the restaurant. I smiled at customers. I carried plates. I went home to a different building each night. But the question stayed with me. No one could explain what had happened that night. No one could explain how a dead man's identity had walked up to my door twice and then waited in silence. No one could explain why the location on the app had never moved, as if the man had simply stood still in the hallway or inside my rooms for hours. I thought about the empty hallway. I thought about the way the knocks had come exactly when the app said he had arrived. I thought about how close he must have been when I opened the door and saw nothing. Some nights I still wake up at 4 in the morning. I lie in the dark and listen. The new apartment is quiet. The new building has better locks. But the memory of that one night stays clear. A man who should not have existed had stood outside my door. He had been living in the same space where I slept. He had watched my routine. He had chosen to tap instead of ring. He had waited in the dark until I yelled. And then he had vanished, leaving only a dot on a phone screen that never moved. I never learned his real name. The police never found him. The delivery company said the account had been closed and the ID removed. Life moved on for everyone else. For me, the fear remains quiet and real. I check under my bed every night before I turn off the light. I keep my phone beside my pillow. I look over my shoulder when I walk home from work. The horror is not loud. It is the knowledge that someone had been inside my life without me seeing him. It is the understanding that a dead man's name had been used to get close to me. It is the simple fact that no one could explain how it had happened or why the location on the app had stayed exactly the same for so many hours. I am alive. I am safe in a new place. But some questions never receive answers. Some doors, once opened, leave a mark that does not fade.